Here.
Kammerer.
Here.
Carbonaro.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Ranke.
Here.
Shipman.
Here.
President Wallace.
Here. The first item on the committee agenda is under Planning and Zoning. Chairman Kammerer.
Thank you, President Wallace. The first thing we have, or the only thing we have on the Planning and Zoning is the case of the medical cannabis marijuana zoning ordinance text amendment. And I think I'll turn this over to Jim Plazinski to further elucidate on all this information.
Thank you, Trustee Kammerer. As recently the state of Illinois passed the medical marijuana cultivation and dispensing law, which allows the legal cultivation and dispensing of medical marijuana. The law stated that in addition to certain parameters in terms of distance away from schools and child daycare centers, also said that local zoning control would also take precedence. The Village of Bartlett zoning ordinance does not have a category for these types of uses, and under the discussion with our village attorney, we mapped out the parameters for the law, which basically stated that you could not be within, for the cultivation centers, you could not be within a certain distance, 2,500 feet of a daycare or school or area zoned for residential use. And when we mapped that out, we found that the only areas that qualify is within our industrial area out in the Brewster Creek Business Park. Subsequently, the law for the cannabis dispensing centers stated that you could not be 1,000 feet from school or daycare or located in a residential neighborhood. We again mapped that out on our GIS system and found that the industrial area in the Brewster Creek Business Park and adjacent property is the only location for those facilities. We felt that it would be necessary to create an ordinance that requires a special use if somebody wanted to open one of those facilities in the Village of Bartlett, and you could exercise your zoning control with conditions on that special use. So we prepared a draft ordinance, which you had at your committee meeting a couple of months ago, forwarded it to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals reviewed the text amendment and held a public hearing and recommended approval of the text that's attached to your ordinance tonight, or to your packet tonight. And if there are any questions on the draft text amendment, it'll be ready to move on forward for a final vote.
Questions of the board?
Just to be clear here, Jim, we don't have a bunch of pot dealers knocking down the door to build stores in Bartlett. This is more of a kind of a legal perfunctory matter. That's correct?
I would say that is accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or concerns? If not, then I would suggest or recommend that we pass this on to the board for a future vote.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairman Kammerer. Next item on the Committee of the Whole agenda is under Finance and Golf Committee. Chairman Ranke.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only item we have on our agenda for this evening is the 2013 proposed property tax levy, which is substantial. The proposed levy for 2013 is $9,390,955, which is a 5.6% decrease from the 2012 property tax levy. And with that, I'll ask staff to elaborate on the proposal.
Thank you, Trustee Ranke. And as you said, this is the time of year that we begin to do our property tax levy process. It's the first step in the process. In the packet this evening, the committee did receive a memo that outlines the proposed property tax levy, and I'd like to go over those numbers with the committee at this time. The village is somewhat unique, I will say, in that it's we levy property taxes specifically for three purposes. Number one, to help fund our general fund operating expenditures, to pay principal and interest on our general obligation bonds and to pay for the village's contribution to the police pension fund. As I was just saying, we are somewhat different in that we are a multi-county municipality. And we levy a tax and distribute it based upon those 3 counties, and it's called a burden factor. So Cook County represents 38.20% of the property tax levy. DuPage County is 61.57% of the burden, and Kane is only 0.23% of the burden. So totaling that up, that's 100% of the tax levy, and that is how it's distributed through the counties. When we started the budget process back in April, that was really the first process of starting the property tax levy. What we do at that time is budget the dollars in this current year budget. May 1 starts our current budget year cycle, and we use those dollars to help fund this current year budget. Beginning right now in the fall of 2013, the village board will conduct public hearings and approve this tax levy. And then starting in March of 2014 through December of 2014, the village will begin receiving Cook County property taxes, and in June through November of 2014, the village will receive DuPage and Kane County property taxes based upon this levy. Probably the most important thing that I think the board should be aware of, by law, the tax levy must be filed with the county clerk's offices no later than the 4th Tuesday in December. We are on track to do that. We're providing you with a schedule of how to do that. So we will be in compliance with that. So taking a look at some of the numbers overall, as Trustee Ranke stated, the total tax levy proposed is $9,390,955,000. It is a $500,000 decrease, or 5.06% reduced from last year's extension from 2012. A couple things to keep in mind as far as the general corporate levy. That is the most substantial decrease that we factored into this tax levy. It's going down by 8%. One of the things that I know our police pension board is very proud of in the village is that we are proposing actually a dollar levy that is less than the prior year. That dollar amount is, for the police pension fund is dictated by our actuarial that establishes what this levy really should be, and it actually went down. That's a factor really of 2 things. One, good investment experience through policies of the police pension board, and salary increases for those members of the police pension fund are actually less than what the actuary had projected. So that's very good news. You don't see that in this type of environment where a pension levy would actually go down, and that's going down by 5.76%. And finally, our debt service levy, that's principal and interest on our general obligation bonds. We have 3 bonds outstanding. That is increasing, but only because of the requirements in those bonds for this current year. So overall, again, decrease of 5.06%, or $500,000. Again, moving into the proposed debt service levy and the abatements, again, we have a $1.6 million levy for 3 bonds, the 2007 general obligation bonds, which were for the Fire Protection District station back in 2007. 2009 are refunding bonds for a couple older projects, and then in 2012, those are the bonds for our road improvement project and flood mitigation that's currently underway right now. We do have 1 proposed abatement as of now, and that's in the 07 bonds. That's simply through the bond ordinance. So that's a dollar amount that we will levy less of in these bonds. So it's actually another break for the residents as far as paying property taxes. Probably the most difficult thing about projecting a tax levy is estimating EAV. We are using a 6% decrease again in assessed valuation. We've seen now a decrease over the last 3 years. We think 6% now is a pretty good estimate. I'm hoping it comes in a little bit less than that, and we start seeing increases in EAV, which is positive for the village in future years. But unfortunately, I still think because of the way assessments run over the past 3 years that we're still in an environment of decreasing assessed values. So we'll factor in a 6% decrease. And then breaking down the levy by the counties, again, we take these dollars that we just talked about and represent or apply the burden factor of 38%, the EAV for the county in Cook, which is $404 million, and then we come up with a rate of 91.5 cents per $100 of EAV. That is 4 cents lower than the rate for 2012. So that's a good thing, and I think given a conservative estimate for EAV, lower tax dollars actually being levied, that's a realistic projection for what the rate will be in Cook County. Same thing for DuPage County, 61.57% burden, $624 million of assessed value, and applying the levy dollars again, that gives us a projected rate of 93.4 cents per $100, slightly higher than what we had in 2012, but again, if EAV shift just a little bit, it should be flat. And then overall, looking at the village in its totality, total EAV again of a little over $1 billion. When we apply that against this proposed levy of $9.3 million, we come up with a rate of 90 cents per $100 of EAV. And that is right on with what the rate was for 2012. So the rate is flat and the dollar amount is decreasing. As I projected in the memo that I provided for the board, that should be a savings for the residents of $54 for 2013. So we are projecting to save the residents some money in this budget. Yes.
I'm sorry, you said that would be a decrease of $54?
For a home of approximately $300,000 of value. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, when you take a look at the village applied against other taxing districts, the property tax pie, the village is 9% of the total pie, and I know you have this chart, it's a little clearer in your packets. Then it's broken down to each of the taxing districts in DuPage County, with the largest amount obviously being the school district. When you look at Cook County, we see the same thing. 9% of the pie in a property tax bill for a resident goes to the village. The rest is broken down by these other taxing districts, again with the largest being the school district. And finally, I just want to review the time frame. At the next board meeting, we will establish the estimated levy. The board will approve that estimated levy. The next day, we'll advertise for a public hearing, which is required by law. We'll hold a public hearing on November 19th and adopt the levy on December 3rd, and again, have the levy filed no later than the fourth Tuesday in December. So with that being said, I think that's some good news for the board. We held the line on property taxes, actually reduced it. So with that being said, I'd be open to any questions the board might have. Or the committee, I should say.
It's good news.
We're happy to provide that.
Less money out of our residents' pocket is better.
Thanks for making us look good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, we're finished with our items on finance and golf for this evening.
That's all you got for us, Aaron?
Yep.
Thank you, Chairman Ranke. That is it for the agenda for the Committee of the Whole meeting. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Kammerer, seconded by Trustee Shipman. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Ahrens?
Yes.
Kammerer?
Here.
Carbonaro?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Ranke?
Yes.
Chipman?
Yes.
We are adjourned. It's up to you. Yeah, that's fine.
Sure.